I was in Portugal a few days ago, beautiful country, and while I was there, the first night, my wife and I were walking, and as we're walking, I saw this other guy who was of the same religion as me, the Sikh religion. I could tell because he wore a turban and had a beard as well, and we saw each other, we said hi to each other, and then he continued walking, doing his own thing, and my wife and I walked in the other direction. No big deal. The next day, I saw him again, doing the same thing, just walking around. We were on opposite sides of the street. I walked to his side of the street, and we said hi again, and we just started talking. I said, "Where are you from?" He says, "I live here in Portugal." I said, "Oh, that's interesting. How long have you been here?" He says, "I've been here for 2 months." I was like, "Oh, that's nice. Like, what do you do?" He's like, "Well, that's why you keep seeing me walk around. All my days I'm trying to find work." He's like, "I'm from India, and I have my wife and 2 kids in India. I came here because I have no money and no opportunities in India, but I can hopefully make some money here." I was like, "Oh, like, so what have you been doing?" He's like, "Well, right now I'm just trying to get whatever jobs I can." He's been doing some labor jobs, doing whatever. He's like, "I live in a room, one room with 9 other guys. I have a bunk bed that I sleep on, and that's it." He's like, "I make some money, and then I send it to India to take care of my family." And so we got to talking, and he tells me about how much he's willing to work. He's like, "Look, I will work 20 hours a day, kind of do whatever it takes because I have opportunity here that I don't have in India. I don't have the ability to make any money there. The whole system is different here, but here I can make some money. I don't know the language here. I don't know the culture. I don't know the people, but I am willing to work. And because I'm willing to work, I know that I can make more money, even though I don't understand the culture, but I will outwork anybody else because I need to make some money to take care of my family back home." Then the next day, as I'm driving back to the airport, I had a Uber driver who was from Pakistan, and he was talking to me. And we started talking about the same thing. I said, "How long have you been here?" He says, "Well, I've been here for a couple of years. My wife is still in Pakistan. And now I'm working here to support my wife that we can go somewhere else. And so I am willing to do whatever it takes because I want to bring my family with me." And so when you see immigrants with this type of mindset where I have no reason not to succeed. I have no reason not to work because all I want to do is succeed so bad that I can bring my family together. There's a reason why immigrants become more successful than people who are not immigrants. And there's a reason why you'll see immigrants work so hard. It's because they have nothing to lose. When you go to a new country, you don't know the people, you don't know the culture, you don't know the language, you don't know anything, you leave everything behind, maybe you go into debt to go to a new country, you're risking everything. But you start with nothing. And if you start with nothing, you really have nothing to lose, which means you can go all in. And this is why you will see so many immigrants work on Christmas, work on Thanksgiving, work on holidays, because those are the days that your native people, right? American holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, these are the days people are not working. But these are the days that immigrants say, "Oh, you mean you're not going to work? All right, I'll work double time because nobody wants to work and I can get paid overtime." And this is that mindset that differentiates now that immigrant mindset of doing whatever it takes, the hunger, that drive to succeed versus that complacency mindset. And what's interesting is right now I'm in London, and a common theme that I've seen here, because I met a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, influencers out here in Europe and London, and the common thread even here in Europe, is everybody wants to be in America or they want to earn money from America. Why? Because America is where the opportunity is. Even the podcasters here in London are saying most of our money comes from our American audience. Most of our money comes from our American sponsors. The opportunity is in America. And now you have a lot of people in America that are saying, "Oh, there's no opportunity here. There's no way for me to succeed. Everything is hard." And yes, it is hard. But you got to remember, you have people that are literally willing to risk their lives, to go to a country like America and actually want to be in America for the opportunity that America has. And what is that opportunity? That if you work, you can actually make money. And that if you create something, you can make more money. And that you can control your destiny. You don't have that same opportunity other places. And the unfortunate part of America is a lot of people don't travel. A lot of people don't go out and see what it's like in other parts of the world, because the other parts of the world don't have the same opportunities. They don't have the same resources. They don't have the same amenities that you have in America. And sometimes we oversee that. So we think, "Oh, America's bad. We have all these problems, all these issues," which, yeah, of course there are problems and issues, right? Nobody, no country, nothing is perfect. But if you talk about opportunity, there's no place in the world, Not a single place in the world that has more opportunity than you have in America. And this is something that, unfortunately, sometimes you don't realize until you go out and see people and talk to people and realize how other people are living, because that's where the opportunity is. America is built for opportunity. We are the most capitalist nation out there, where you have the ability that if you want to go out and create something, you can build something. You have tax laws that are favorable to investors and entrepreneurs. Now, you might hear that and say, oh, that's unfair because, I am not an entrepreneur. Well, anybody can be an investor. It doesn't matter where you come from. And anybody can be an entrepreneur. And anybody can become successful in America. Is it harder for some people than others? Absolutely. Is it more difficult for some people than others? Absolutely. Is it going to be easy? Absolutely not. But I think one thing that we often forget is the amount of opportunities that are available to us until you go out and you see some of the rest of the world. Because the rest of the world, well, people don't always have the same resources that you think we might have here in America. And I want you to remember that because, well, people will try to risk their lives. They will break laws, do whatever they got to do. Why? To come to America? Because America has opportunity, because people want to work. And when you come from that type of mindset, well, I will do anything. I will risk anything. I want the opportunity to succeed. I want to bring my family here. I will work 20 hours a day. I will work 7 days a week. I don't want a sick day. I don't want holidays. I just want to work. You might say, oh, that's a really unhealthy work-life balance. It's a very unhealthy mindset, because you have the luxury to think of that healthy balance. When somebody's an immigrant, you don't have the luxury to think, oh, you know what? I want 8 hours of sleep. Oh, I want my weekends off. Oh, I want a nice work-life balance. You don't have that luxury to be able to think, I want a work-life balance, to be able to think, I want these nice things, this balance. That is a luxury in and of itself that a lot of people in the world don't have the luxury to be able to even think. And we forget that sometimes. And this is where I'm not really sure the direction of this video, but I want to make this kind of as a reminder that if you are in a country like America, you are blessed. If you can understand this video, you speak English, you are blessed. If you have the technology to access this video, you have a phone, you have a computer, you are blessed. And if you have those three things, the technology, the ability to understand this, and you are in a first world country, you are very blessed. Which means now you also have opportunity. And it might not seem like it because of the environment that's around you. It might not seem like it because of the situation that you're in. It might not seem like it because of things that have happened to you. But you got to get out of that situation. You got to get out of that environment. You got to get out of those toxic people and that toxic environment. And if you can get out of that, maybe you'll start seeing those opportunities. Because unfortunately, it has become a very popular thing to develop and embrace this victim mentality. Things are hard for me. My boss sucks. Oh, the government sucks. Oh, banks are evil. Corporations are evil. It's very easy to point the blame on others, right? But what I want you to remember here, one person, I forget who told me this, but this stuck with me, is when you sit there and you keep pointing at other people, you got 3 fingers pointed right back at you. And this is where if you can start accepting responsibility for everything in your life, even if it's not your fault, if you start accepting the responsibility, you're going to start changing the way that you start looking at things. And the way that you break out of that is start by reading books or watching content. If you're watching this video, you're already 2 steps ahead, but start reading books. Read books on personal development. Read books on success. Read books on mindset. Then read books about money management. Then read books about scaling your income. Then read books about building a business. Just start spending your time, instead of watching Netflix, killing your brain cells, reading books. That will automatically start changing the way that your brain thinks. And maybe what you realize is, you know what? My friend group is not a very good friend group to be around. And maybe you stop hanging around with those losers and you start hanging around with different types of people. Now you might say, how do I find different types of people to start hanging around? Well, it kind of happens organically, because as you start to act a little differently and talk a little differently, you start to attract different types of people. And so it just kind of happens that you stop wanting to be around that kind of broke mindset, that loser mindset, that victim mindset. And as you start talking about how there's opportunity around us, there's abundance around us, there's ability to do things around us, you're going to start attracting different types of people around you. You're going to start going to different events. You're going to start hanging out in different places. You're going to start talking to different people. You're going to start reading different content. You're going to start spending your time doing different things. And that will then give you the opportunity to see that success for yourself. Is it easy? No. One of the things I'm most fortunate about in my life, I have a lot of things to be fortunate about. I know I am blessed. One of the things I'm most fortunate about is I grew up in an immigrant family. And I grew up in a house where my parents immigrated from India, but they also brought my grandparents over. And in my house, my grandparents lived with me. And my grandparents were refugees. They had lost everything when our home state of Punjab in India. Punjab was severed in 1947. My grandparents were on the west side of Punjab. And if you were a Sikh, which is the religion that I am, and you were on the west side of Punjab, you had to migrate east, otherwise you were going to be killed. So my grandparents had to migrate east, and this wasn't a luxury transfer of homes. This was I have to fight for my life, and I have to leave my friends, I have to leave my family, I have to have a sword in my hand so I don't get killed type of migration. And I hear these stories, and I start hearing about how my grandfather, one of the things that he always told me was that poverty is the biggest disease. And the reason why he says that is because in my religion, the Sikh religion, S-I-K-H, in that religion, seva, S-E-V-A, is a fundamental component. And what seva means is giving back. It's a selfless service. Some people like to call it community service, but the most literal translation is selfless service. And he was like, when I came to the new India, he was 18. He didn't have anybody with him. He came alone. Didn't know any family around him. He was sleeping on the street. He didn't even have shoes on his feet. And he was like, I had no money to help others, let alone feed myself. I didn't have money to eat. And in that state of poverty, all you can think about is taking care of yourself. You can't think of taking care of somebody else. All you can think about is how can you take care of yourself? Then I hear the stories of how my dad comes to America with less than $100. Again, doesn't speak English, doesn't know the culture, doesn't know the people, but comes. Why would you leave your whole family? Why would you leave your culture? Why would you leave everything for a shot at a better life? And if you're going to leave everything for a shot at a better life, you're going to work because you are risking your entire livelihood for a chance. And if you only have one shot at it, you only have one life to live, you are going to work. I didn't get to see my dad a lot when I was growing up. Now, I don't blame him. This was his opportunity. That was his reality. That was his ability to build wealth. He didn't have the financial education. My dad was educated. My dad worked hard, but he didn't have the financial education to know, oh, I should invest my money. Oh, what is a rental property? Oh, how do you do these things? We didn't grow up with that financial education. I had to go out and learn it on myself. But this is where now you got to understand opportunities are there, but they're only available for people who believe there's opportunities there. And the best way for you to believe there's opportunities there is to look at what immigrants do. Why do immigrants want to leave everything to come to a country like America? Why are they willing to risk their lives? Why are they willing to break laws? Why are they willing to break through doors to come to a country like America? Why are they willing to leave their families, leave their kids behind, leave their wives behind to come to a country like America? Because you have an opportunity to succeed. And that is something you got to remember, is that opportunity is there for people who see it. Immigrants see it. They're willing to do whatever it takes to see it. But you got a lot of people in America that refuse to see it. And if you see it, then you can start capitalizing on it. But you got to be willing to put in the work. Now, I'm not saying you got to work yourself to death, but you got to be willing to make sacrifices when the sacrifices got to be made. Then, if you really want to scale it and you want to take it to the next level, that's where financial education comes into play. Because the problem, I'll be honest, that a lot of immigrants make is they work their butt off. Immigrants will work like nothing else. They will work 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. But many times they don't understand how to use their money. And if you know how to use your money, this can then allow you to scale your wealth to a whole different level, because the financial education is what allows you to really build your wealth and let your money work for you. And that's where now, if you have that financial education, you can take those opportunities to a whole different level. How do you get that financial education? Well, we have a free ebook at Briefs Media titled How to Build Wealth as an Investor. It's completely free. You can read it by clicking the link down in the description below, and that will walk you through what you can do with your money to build your wealth. You can start reading books. You can listen to podcasts. You can watch videos. There's a lot of tools that are accessible now that weren't there 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. So start using the opportunities that are there, but you got to start by changing the way you think and changing the environment that you're around. Because if you're constantly around toxic people talking about how it sucks, things are hard, you'll never be able to succeed. Yeah, you won't. With that type of mindset, you will never succeed. But if you can break out of that mindset and start seeing the opportunities, you'll start seeing your abilities to succeed. Thank you for bearing with me. I know I got a stuffy nose still. I'm recovering from a cold. But yeah, that's my rant for today.
If you're over the age of 30 and you don't feel like you've saved enough money or invested enough money, the way you turn your finances around is not by cutting Starbucks out of your life. Instead, I want you to try this. See, most people assume that being broke is just a math problem that you have to solve. How do you spend less than what you make? Except there's more to it than that, and most of us are never taught